Good morning. I hope you all have had the chance to have coffee by now, maybe English breakfast, beans on toast, not of your liking, maybe, perhaps. Anyhow, what a great panel. I'm honored to be here among my fellow speakers. Many thanks, of course, to the CTO team for putting this together. It has been a brilliant event so far. Good afternoon and my respects to ministers, head of regulatory agencies, and other dignitaries that are here with us today, and of course the representatives of the private sector. Minister Bacchus, well, good to see you again. We met last year in our headquarters here in London, and you were very excited about the prospects of satellite technology. So I'm sure, Arti, there was something there missing translation. However, Minister Bacchus, I'm glad that you validated OneWeb business model, where we indeed are a B2B company and working with local ISPs to reach communities and business everywhere. So allow me to speak or continue speaking a little bit about our company, just a snapshot. I promise I'll spend just a couple of minutes. We continue with our mission to build a truly global network that will supply fiber-like connectivity. But many stars really must align to make a vision of this nature and this caliber a reality, especially when, as OneWeb, we're spearheading innovation. And I'd like just to mention the variety and the quality of our shareholders, because I believe is one of our strengths, and especially highlighting, of course, something that not all of you might know, which is that the government of the United Kingdom is one of our major shareholders. And why is that? Because they believe that a LEO constellation is a strategic asset, and we're working together with them to continue with the deployment of our constellation and very soon global service provision. Let me also speak about an issue that is related to the issue of cost that has come up during the previous session, and obviously one of the most important aspects of this conversation. And in the case of OneWeb, is a main differentiator, I think, which is an ability to manufacture our own satellites. Together with Airbus, we have a state-of-the-art facility in which we manufacture our own satellites, a la carte for other companies as well, but for our own constellation, of course, and achieving rates of 2 satellites per day up until a few months ago. And just to move on from this snapshot, let me just as well mention one issue that is core to OneWeb, which is space sustainability, which is a big debate right now in the industry and, of course, among governments. And at OneWeb, we're enabling the LEO environment while respecting other users, the rights of other users, and, of course, accounting for future generations. And I think this is important and will become even more important as we move forward with this deployment of these large constellations. At OneWeb, we do this by employing responsible design and operational practices, and also supporting policy and regulation through collaboration. We are speaking with space agencies and regulatory bodies of several countries on how precisely we can go about regulating the space, essentially. Now let me take a step back and stop speaking about OneWeb and have a more general outlook, and invite you to think of about the satellite communications as a whole. I do agree, and Arti mentioned this, that we are at a turning point in the industry. And just to contextualize this statement beyond what I can say, I like to start by asking what the common denominator of these 3 organizations that you see on your screen could be. The world's most valuable company by market capitalization, one of the largest MNOs in the world, with a presence in more than 15 countries, and the regulators of the communications sector in the US. You can add here, by the way, the logo of the government of the United Kingdom. And the common denominator is precisely trust. These three organizations relied on satellite technology to innovate, to improve the service offering, and of course, to reduce the digital gaps of access and affordability. And just to tell you why, beyond what I can say, the facts speak. So last August, T-Mobile and SpaceX announced the Coverage and Above Beyond initiative, which aims to bring 4G cellular connectivity to vast territories in the United States. At the same time last year, Apple announced that its new phone, the iPhone 14, would feature satellite connectivity and really boasted this new capability alongside the other advances of its new mobile handset. Finally, in September last year, the FCC granted a company called Link the first commercial license for mobile phone service via satellite. In other words, direct-to-phone satellite connectivity. So why this trust? What can explain the sort of this turning point in the industry or part of this? Some of you may recall the 90s and the attempts of several companies to build a global LEO network. Global Star, Teledesic, Iridium, they had very impressive plans. In the end, however, all but Iridium failed, canceled their intended constellations, mainly because of high cost and technical complexities. Over the past 20 years, however, things have changed, and the new generation of LEO constellations are really progressing steadily towards global service provision. And by the way, while doing so, changing conceptions and earned conceptions to some extent about satellite services, them being expensive, in some cases unreliable, and with limited use cases. So on the demand side, that is clear. We don't have to expand a lot on that. Demand for high quality, high throughput broadband has soared. It's not slowing down. On the supply side, however, there is a combination of factors. The technology has advanced tremendously. Space ground technology, user equipment, space technology, the satellites themselves, ground infrastructure, the network of gateways that satellite operators use, and of course, advancements in the user equipment as well, user terminals. So I think gone are those days where satellite technology was seen as a technology of last resort. And this is complemented as well by much more flexible business models. And of course, important savings in terms of manufacturing of satellites because of the vertical integration that is occurring in our sector, and also the decrease in launches, in the launches of the satellites. Latency, ladies and gentlemen, I have heard colleagues in the sector saying that latency is overrated as a selling point for LEO constellations. And we disagree. The latency reduction enabled by LEOs is one of the main attributes of the next generation of satellite constellations, and indeed a key enabler of the integration of 5G backhaul over satellite networks. Moving on, just to give you an idea of why I'm so positive about what's happening in the sector. The satellite communications market is a market poised for growth. This is a very conservative estimate by Euroconsult. I have seen many other reputable, not many other, I have seen at least a couple of other reputable studies that come to a conclusion of around $50 billion market by 2030 or around. But anyhow, this speaks about the healthy and the prospects of the satellite communications market. And I have to say that much of this growth is driven by precisely NGSOs, whether that's low Earth orbit constellations or medium Earth orbit constellations, with projections of around 50% of the market share by 2030. Which are the drivers of this growth? Familiar to us. We spoke about 4G. We believe that new satellite constellations in GEO and LEO will also be key for 5G networks expansion. We, of course, see increasing data usage, expanded coverage requirements post-COVID, universal service obligations, and, of course, need to be connected on the move, whether that's while traveling on the sky or the shipping industry and the cruise industry. So again, if you ask me, the future looks bright, and at OneWeb we really look forward to working with all of you to address the connectivity needs that business and communities in your countries in the Commonwealth have. And just to finalize, just a few issues of concern. Of course, it's something that I don't think anyone in this room can control, which is geopolitics. Our sector being global, being strategic, and often having national security implications is affected by world events. Markets shut down, supply chains are disrupted, and that has an impact in the sector. In the case of OneWeb, it has clearly had an impact that has cost us a delay of months in the service provisions plans that we had at this point past the last year. And just to finalize on a couple of notes on sort of more on the regulatory side of things. Spectrum and service licensing regulations are still, in the main, a patchwork that lack harmonization, and that is not conducive to the introduction of the new services that we want to see in the Commonwealth countries and the capabilities of the new satellite technologies. Ultimately, our reason of existence is to innovate, to tackle societal problems. And again, we look forward to working with all of you so that our technology can make a difference in the countries in the Commonwealth. Thank you very much.